capillaries are specialized structures. They have these very thin walls. They don't have the outer walls that you find in arteries. Instead, they're composed of just endothelium, which is a specialized type of epithelium that provides a smooth, flat surface to minimize resistance, but more importantly, to maximize the rate of diffusion across the capillary. So this is where we're going to have the exchange between the blood and the cells of materials. So it should come as no surprise to you that there are mechanisms to regulate blood flow to the tissues, and the sphincters that you find in the capillary bed, these are called the precapillary sphincters, are made of smooth muscle. And so they're going to allow control of the supply of blood. For example, after you eat a meal, you're going to increase blood supply to the digestive tract. After strenuous exercise, you're going to be diverting blood to the skeletal muscles from the digestive tract. And what we find is that you have a high storage capacity in the brain, the heart, the kidneys, and the liver. They're usually filled completely with blood in the capillary beds, but that's going to vary in other parts of the body. For example, in the skin, you may increase blood supply to the skin or decrease blood supply to the skin in response to your body's needs to thermoregulate, as discussed in the homeostasis lecture. So sphincters are open, you increase blood flow. If sphincters are closed, then you're going to shunt blood away from that area. Two opposing forces control the movement of fluid between the capillaries and the surrounding tissues. Blood pressure, that's the force that is exerted against the capillary walls by the flow of blood, is going to push fluid and solutes out of the capillaries and to the tissues. And this is how oxygen and nutrients are delivered to the cells. However, blood also contains a large quantity of proteins, plasma proteins. And remember, water is going to move from high to low concentration by osmosis. And so the water in your blood, although it has this force acting upon it to push it out, it also is attracted, if you will, to the proteins that are still staying behind in the blood vessel. And so those proteins exert an osmotic pressure. So fluid and solutes that flow out of capillaries to the tissues just due to blood pressure we call bulk flow. But you also have the fluid from the tissues that is going to be drawn back into the blood vessels simply by osmosis, because the high concentration of the plasma proteins found within the blood vessel itself exerts an osmotic pressure in the capillary. So most of the fluid returns to the capillaries, 85%, but 15% remains behind, and that gets picked up by lymphatic vessels. The lymphatic system is a parallel circulatory system that serves with the immune system to defend the body against infection. This is a role that's in addition to its role with the circulatory system as far as returning the fluid that's lost from the circulatory system by diffusion and putting it back into the bloodstream through a vessel called the subclavian vein, which is located near the heart, just kind of right beneath your clavicle. And so when the fluid from the circulatory system is picked up into the lymphatic system, you call it lymph. And so lymph is going to flow through lymphatic vessels, and it's filtered at the lymph node. And the lymph node is just the organ that's found in the lymphatic system, and you find them all over the body. In fact, you can probably palpate them. You can feel them through your skin in areas like your neck, like kind of just underneath your chin, in your armpits, your abdomen, and you can feel it along the groin as well. And so what the lymph node does is it's going to filter the lymph as it flows through that organ. And this is also the storage site for the immune cells that will attack pathogens. So if you have lymph that is infected with a bacteria or a virus, then the immune cells will proliferate and they'll multiply, which causes swelling of the lymph node. And so if your doctor is feeling on your neck, they're really trying to check for the presence of swollen lymph nodes, and it might feel tender to you, or you might be able to feel it yourself. And so that's just an indication of an infection.